Hi guys, this is Sharon and today I'm going to show you how to make this phone pouch, and the stitch is called the Apache tiers. The stitches that are going to be used are just treble crochets and single crochets, so I hope it will be very easy to follow. So stay tuned. So for this project I'll be using two colors of acrylic yarn, and this is called Indafil in the Philippines, and I'm gonna use 2 strands because it's a fingering weight, so I need 2 strands to make it a bit thicker, and it is similar now to a medium weight. So I'm gonna start with the lighter one so you can see. To get the width for the purse that you're making, first is you're gonna make a slip knot, and then you're going to work in multiples of depending on how far apart you want your tears to be. So in my case, I'm gonna work 4 plus 1 for the tear. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm gonna work in multiples of 5 until I get the width I want for this purse. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to keep chaining in multiples of 5. So I have 5 already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. So after that, we're gonna work a slip stitch on the very first chain that we've made, and then we have formed a ring. By the way, I chained 55, so this is going to be the width of the purse, and then it's in multiples of 5, and I'm going to chain 1 and then work a single crochet into the same stitch. And then into the next one, I'm gonna work on the back chain, and then I'm going to work another single crochet. We're gonna do 1 single crochet in every stitch until we get back around. In here I did 55, so by the end of this round I should have 55 single crochets as well. So now I got back around, and I made my last single crochet there, and then after this I'm gonna slip stitch on top of the very first single crochet, and we finished the first round. Now we're gonna do 2 more rows of this foundation stitches to make the Apache tiers, and since we're changing the color on every 3rd row or 3rd round, so I'm just going to keep continuing working the same color into the 2nd. I started with chain 1, and then into the same stitch I'm gonna work 1 single crochet. I'm going to continue finishing 1 more round of the same color, and then I'll show you how to change the color on the 3rd round. I'm on my last stitch here, and then I'm gonna work my last single crochet there, and just before I slip stitch here, I'm gonna cut off the yarn and join find the next color. So I cut off this yarn, and then I'm going to insert the new color just like that, and then tie both tails at the back. Now after tying both tails at the back, I'm gonna work one more row of one single crochet in every stitch. I chained one, and then into the same stitch I'm going to work one single crochet, and you can vary the yarn tail as you go so that you don't have to leave in after finishing this row. So keep working one single crochet in every stitch, and then I'll show you what to do next. So in here I am now working on my last stitch, and then after this I'm gonna slip stitch into the first single crochet of this round. After working 3 rows of one single crochet in every stitch, to start round 4, after slip stitching, we're going to start with working the Apache tier, and to start we're going to do a treble, and then into the first row, it's always 3 rows down, we're going to work our first treble. So this is the first row, first single crochet of first row. So I'm gonna insert the hook into the as you can see, this is the V stitch, like the V here, and then I'm just going to insert the hook into one of those two, and then I'm gonna start working trebles. So this is the start of working the Apache tier, and that's what we're gonna do every 5th stitch. So after this we're gonna work into the next stitch a 1 single crochet into each of the next 4, 2, 3, and 4. So this is what it's looking like, and after that we're going to do a treble again, 3 rows down, and after working 4 single crochets in there, we're going to work the Apache tier in here. So we're gonna work or insert the hook into the one of the loops, and then do a treble. So as you can see, this is how it's looking like, and at the back of this treble we have the single crochet stitch here, but we're going to skip that one and work 1 single crochet into each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now after that, this next stitch we're gonna work the Apache tier, and we're gonna do a treble, and we're gonna insert the hook into one of those V or loops here on the very first row and work the treble. So it's gonna be always like that, and we're going to skip the stitch. So make sure you skip one single crochet in there, and then into the next work one single crochet into each of the next 4. So we keep doing that until we get back around. Okay, so in here I got back around, and there should be 4 single crochets in the last 4 stitches. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work a slip stitch on top of the first treble crochet. So it's important that you have 4 single crochets here and then slip stitch on top of the treble, so that you're gonna have the same number of stitches in between the trebles. So since I'm gonna change the color, I'm gonna cut off this yarn and I'm gonna join back the same color. So in here I'm joining the same color as the first to second round, and then I'm gonna insert the hook into the first treble and then catch this pink yarn, and then I'm gonna tie both tails at the back. And then after tying both tails at the back, I'm gonna chain 1 and into the same stitch as on top of the first treble, I'm going to work a single crochet. So this is the start of the round 5, and then into the next stitch, this is where we're going to work the Apache tier. So meaning it's gonna move as we move on to the next round. So I'm gonna work a treble 3 rows down. So in here I'm gonna catch the one of the loops and then work a treble, and then we're going to skip a stitch, and that's gonna be behind that Apache tier, and then we're gonna work. So as you can see, it's still 4, but then the Apache tier will be moved next before the previous treble. So I'm gonna do a treble, always 3 rows down. And then after that, we're going to skip this stitch right there and then work 1 single crochet into each of the next 4. 2, 3, and 4. So that's what we're gonna keep doing until we get the length that we want. So as you can see, as we move on to the next round, the treble will be moved to the next stitch, but then there will always be 4 stitches in between those trebles, and this is going to form like a diagonal ridge to your project. And you can use many colors, alternating every second or every third round if you want, so you will never really get lost. So once you will work the treble into the next, it's always 3 rows down. last 3 stitches, and since I will still use the same color for the next round, I'm going to work a slip stitch on top of the very first single crochet, and as you can see, I have 4 single crochets in between the treble. So that's gonna be always the case. And then I'm gonna start chaining one single crochet into the same stitch, 1 single crochet on top of the treble. And because we're gonna do the Apache tier next after the last treble of the previous round, so this is where I'm going to work the treble, and it's gonna be 3 rows down. So 1, 2, 3, yarn over twice into the loop here, work a treble, and then after that, the stitch at the back of the treble, we're going to skip that one and move into the next. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then, as you can see, we're ready to work on our trebles already. So it's always 3 rows down. I'm gonna yarn over twice, and into this loop I'm gonna insert the hook and start working the treble. And then the stitch at the back of the treble, we're going to skip that and work 1 single crochet into each of the next 4. 3 and 4. So that's what we're going to repeat. And as we move forward to the next rounds, we're gonna see how this is forming, and it's gonna go diagonal to the side. And since we are doing the Apache tier in round, so you're gonna see the ridges forming this way, and I'm gonna show you after I finish all the rounds. So this is what it looks like after 18 rounds, and you can just